Let's rock and roll. I just got mad at my 4-month-old nephew for moving too much while I was changing his diaper. I told him to do it himself. 4-month-old? Do it yourself. Get your fine motor coordination in order. Let's go. Change your own diaper. Honestly, it's worth a play, Anna. I really think it is.
Back off.
Yeah, it's pretty. I was. Which one was it? Scatman got stuck in my head. DMZ, hello. Welcome in. Welcome into anybody who is lurking. Beautiful. Look at this. Sam.
Hey, Sam. I have some new info you should hear. Recently recovered thanks to your efforts to expand the chiral network. It
Ooh, here we go.
BBs.
We'll learn about some BBs here.
I dug this up on my own, just to be clear. No one ordered me to look. And if anyone asked, put it all on me. No need for you to deal with any blowback. You were just listening to me ramble on the wire, okay? Anyway, it looks like Bridges wasn't the first to bring back BB tech. It was a group of separatists. Terrorists opposed to UCA expansion, according to the records. They started using them about 3 years ago.
Oh my god.
Right around the time Bridges 1 was putting plans in place to head west. Seems these separatists were having trouble with BTs too, and figured that if they could track them, they might be able to steer them into our path. When Bridges caught wind of this, the decision was made to fight fire with fire, to start using BBs as a countermeasure.
Damn, we just using babies as warfare.
It's possible yours was commissioned for that very purpose. A fact I think someone may have tried to conceal, judging by the absence of BB-28's service record. I always found it strange that we were so willing to utilize technology we barely understood. Now we know why. We've been aping methods and techniques employed by others from the start. There's more you should know. It's about the original Bridge Baby experiments. Piecing together what little I could find, it looks like they started around the time of the Death Stranding. They were conducted on the island of Manhattan off the East Coast, which was completely and utterly obliterated by what was almost certainly a void out. Back then, these experiments had the...
Okay, there we go. I can actually pause it. I didn't realize I could do that. What's up, I am Porco. Welcome in. Oh, let's see. I finally have a doctor's appointment to try to figure out why I keep getting canker sores. I swear to God, if she tells me you just need to avoid stress, I'm posting the thanks I'm cured. Hey, is that what you've heard before, K-Girl? I don't even know what would prevent those. I hate canker sores so much. Question. Is there any clinical reasoning behind the brain processing life differently from day to day? Same circumstance, different day, seems to have different reactions. It's confusing when there's no discernible pattern or reason. Well, it could be any number of things, Tree Hugger. You could be talking about just fluctuations in emotional mood, and like, which is a somewhat, I mean, that's kind of a complex deal, but also somewhat simple. Like just on the day-to-day, relative to maybe how we slept, have we eaten, where's our brain at emotionally, that kind of thing. Context is also something. So, you know, at certain days, maybe things happen that put us into a more like positive mood or forward thinking type mood, and then all of a sudden we'll think about something and it'll like we'll think about the thing, but because of all the context of the day, we're able to process that thing differently. Like the brain, the context plays a large role in the way that the brain processes things, and the context we choose to attend to, and the parts of the thing we're thinking about that we choose to attend to, if that makes sense. So it's just kind of the ups and downs of our emotional experience, mixed with the context under which we're thinking about the thing and the way that we are choosing to think about the thing. So it may just be that while it might be the same nodal instance or same thing that's being thought about, it could be that we are choosing to selectively focus on some part of that we might not have been choosing to focus on the other day relative to the context that led us to thinking about the thing. Hello, Lemon. Morning, everyone. Just woke up and still in bed. Well, good morning to you, Shifted. Did you get a haircut or is it just blocked by headphones? No, I did. Well, I got a haircut like a month ago just to like trim it up, but it's still long. It's not as long as it was at the wedding though, Jared. Have doctors told you that before? Doctors told me chronic problems might be from too much stress when I first got sick. It makes me so angry. Right. It's kind of like, hey, just stop being stressed and you'll feel better. Wi-Fi's being bad. Be back soon since finals are almost over. Well, I'm looking forward to that, Anna. It was really good to see you. Appreciate you being here. All right. Experiments had full support and approval of the American government.
It's all just guesswork, but I suspect the BB program was conceived to help gain a better understanding of the nature of the Death Stranding. However, due to ethical and safety concerns, public opinion was strongly against
I wonder why. Let's use babies for warfare.
They pressed on. And in their desperation to make sense of the greatest disaster of their age, I think they caused another. I should also mention that the president himself was killed in the blast. It was after his death, when he was succeeded
do some contouring as well,
that the experiments were suspended by executive decree. Documents were shredded, facilities were decommissioned, and every effort was made to pretend that BBs had never even existed. Which begs the question how some random separatist group was capable. I'll let you know if I do.
Cool. I guess your initial focus when you wake up on a given day defines the day's mood. I wonder how one would go about influencing that initial state. Well, the thing about it, Tree Hugger, is like our emotional state is not necessarily something that we can have immediate influence upon, although we can. I mean, you can sort of induce an emotional state by the thoughts that you attend to and create. It's kind of one of those things where it's like if you recognize a certain thought sequence going on, then we can say, okay, is this the thought process that I want to indulge on and focus on? Do I want to create something alternative? Do I want to add nuance to the thing that I'm thinking about? Do I want to be mindful of what my emotional state is right now and think about how that might have an impact on the way that I'm thinking about something? I mean, embedded in what I'm saying is some level of mindfulness, right? Because you have to recognize how you're feeling and then recognize the thoughts as being something that you are influencing or you are creating as opposed to something that's just happening, that kind of thing. You know, compassion, patience, curiosity about our emotional state and the meaning we're making out of it, all of those things are really important. Sometimes those bad processes are like a warm, comfy blanket. Absolutely, Tree Hugger. That's what makes them so hard to change. Absolutely.
The people of Mountain,
you know, sometimes there's this idea that if we think about something in a different way, there's like a loss in the function of what that thing, of what thinking about it in a certain way has been serving for us. And that's what's called a secondary gain. And sometimes that secondary gain is not something that's very easy for us to figure out on our own. And that's where like somebody like a therapist can be really helpful because they can help do that or assist in that. Hello, Zeph. I influenced my...
Be advised, Sam.
Jesus.
A powerful impact, reckless driving, and any abnormalities detected with if the bomb goes off.
Oh my God. Die Hardman is so annoying. Okay. What was I saying? Okay. I influence the initial state of my day using music. At least sometimes if I wake up to good upbeat music, it usually sets a good mood for the day. Well, that's the other thing to realize, though, is that if you wake up and you're in a bad mood and you're thinking about something in a certain way, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are doomed to have a bad day. Sometimes just thinking that a bad morning means a bad day is enough for us to engage in some level of confirmation bias where we start to look for data that fits that expectation. So that's the other thing too, is like we can shift our expectations of our day, of a certain thought process, that kind of thing. And I sometimes think it's very important to do that.
You never give up, do you?
Wolfer, thank you very much for the sub. I can't believe it's been 2 months either. That's insane. Thank you very much for the 2 months. Stress can cause a lot of physical ailments, but too many doctors seem to use stress reduction as an answer. Well, this means, to its credit, stress reduction does actually have a pretty significant influence on our psyche and on our body, but there's so much context that goes into why we are stressed out that, I mean, the idea that we have full control over our stressors is a fallacy, which is why, you know, it can be helpful to talk to a therapist who can help you figure out the things that you can control. But it does seem to be that way, Coder. I agree. I'm usually pretty good at spotting my secondary gain in things. I'm big on that in therapy. I am really big on helping people figure out what their secondary gains are. Because a lot of times when we do a thing, like if you do a thing, if you engage in a behavior, you think a certain thing, you do a certain thing, that you would then follow up by saying, I don't like that I do that. Usually you can chalk it up to the fact that there is some kind of consequence that is experienced positively that's a byproduct of like what's happening. Like there is a gain to it. Like for example, you know, experiencing anxiety can be something that then prevents somebody from doing something that maybe will make them even more anxious or doing something new. And so then as a result, they're like, oh yeah, like, you know, my secondary gain for my anxiety is that I am protected from, oh, God damn it. Did I just blow up? Whoa. Need less stress, you say? Then I'll tell you my prescription. There you go, Coder. I'm certain that when I'm with you all, the day improves for me. Well, that is what we are here for, Tree Hugger. And our day improves a little bit, too, by having you around. Hi, Lynx. Because I just blew up myself in a nuclear warhead. That's the second time I've died by nuclear warhead.
Weapons will remain locked until departure.
I really ought to be a little bit more, I'm gonna just drop this. I gotta be more careful, man.
Clear. Welcome, Sam Porter-Bridges.
I can speak from my first-hand experience about the impact of stress and difficulty of dealing with it for sure. When I get too stressed, I have seizures. When my seizures are linked to PTSD and horrible fatalist expectations, which makes the seizures that much more terrifying and stressful. That is a positive feedback loop at its finest, Rain. The positive feedback loops are really hard to intercept and change, so give you a lot of credit for at least having some mindfulness around that and for trying to work on it. It's not easy. So I went to the dermatologist on Friday because I got a weird rash on my cleavage. I ended up itching it to the point that it was bleeding. I went in and of course I forgot. They took pictures of it. I told the nurse, just don't upload to the cloud or maybe Photoshop them to look a little perkier. And I asked my dermatologist, can you amputate them? I'm sick of these things causing trouble and pain. The free drinks they pay for isn't worth it. Oi.
If anyone wanted.
And it is an unenviable position, K-Girl. I will never know what that is like. And I mean, from hearing some of your stories, I'm kind of grateful for that. I'm stressed because I can barely live, and now you're telling me I can barely live because I'm stressed. I'm gonna go grab some water. Seems a nerve guy. Hey, there you go, Coder. Hey, man, do what you got to do. It's true, right? Like that kind of thing is really difficult to manage, and to hear that can be quite invalidating. All right, I'm gonna try to be a little bit more careful with the way I drive through these. To avoid uneven terrain when transporting cargo of this kind. I'm gonna be nice and easy. Good morning, Nix. It's been a rough few months. It's so easy to get into a mindset where you just think, why bother trying to improve my mood when I hate myself anyway? Yeah, that can be really rough. Now I give up. We can be mean to ourselves. And apathy is a common stress response. You know, when we're experiencing considerable anxiety, when things aren't going well for us, going to I don't care, screw it, is real easy. That's my go-to. When I'm ridiculously stressed out,
You're gonna love this.
I am all about apathy. Oh my god. Okay, that was close. Thank you for the follow, Finding My Wings. Appreciate it. Welcome in. Why are you transporting a bomb? I don't know, honestly, Husker. I really don't. They keep giving me stuff that is really volatile, and then they're like, oh no, I'm gonna blow up. God damn it. Thank you for the host, Wolfer. I'm thinking we might just have to hoof this. I made it stressed at the moment. I keep reminding him to be nice to himself. It's hard so it's really hard to do that. Like when we're stressed, it's hard to find compassionate self-talk. It takes a lot of work. Your milkshakes bring all the drinks to the bar and they're like itching all over the yard. They could treat you, but you'd rather leave them off and be charged. Oh God. I'd have to read that probably 3 times to understand exactly what you just wrote there. Links. Oh, I can sometimes lean toward the apathy response as well. It always gets me in huge trouble. Apathy? Yeah, I mean, it gets me in trouble too. I'll just be like, I don't care. And then I won't do things. I'll just be like, It's not a good place to be in.
Have a pleasant journey.
That's because it's the 3rd time I've blown up, Jared. I'm sick of blowing up with these stupid ass packages that I have to. We're just gonna hoof it on. We're going on foot. That's what we're doing. Good. Gladnar, what's up? Thank you very much for the 14 months. I appreciate it. Oi. If I can't make it to my mental health workers building tomorrow, then they said that they will be refusing to help me until I can get to the building. Oh my God. Well, you're just like at a stalemate with that, Lemon. That sucks. We've been at that for a while now.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
Actually, I guess my response is less apathy and more very direct. F you, anxiety. I'm not listening to you anymore. I'm doing what I want. You can go screw yourself. That can work. A little tough love with your emotional experiences is not necessarily a bad thing. I tend to err on the side of put your arm around your anxiety and say, hey, I appreciate you, but I'm going to take the wheel now. But hey, you do what you got to do. Now, when I was a kid, that when I got really happy or excited about something, and on the flip side, being sad or cry about something, I would go into appetital seizure. They were pretty violent. Within the last year, when I get stressed, I would shake and black out. It's not fun. That doesn't sound fun. So if I can't do it, they'll be discharging their duty of care. So, like, essentially just leaving you out to dry? I mean, that's kind of what it sounds like. College I want to go get an undergraduate degree has an open enrollment, so my shit GPA doesn't make a difference in getting in. That's a huge relief. Wow, cheers to that, Gladnar. My God. Why do people cry when they get mad? Crying has been associated with sadness, but crying is not just about sadness. Like, people can experience, like, people cry just when they're under a lot of duress. Like, crying is just a physical manifestation of some level of emotional outpouring. It doesn't have to be sadness. And oftentimes, some people would tell you that anger is a secondary emotion and that the anger might be representing sadness in a more palatable way. Like, that could also be the case too. I'm at the start of an all-nighter because I've been too apathetic to start an assignment, and now it's the night before. Never used to do this. Thanks for starting the night off with me, guys. Well, that's what we're here for. Now I give up. Yeah, procrastination, by the way, is an anxiety response, for those who have never heard me say that before. When you procrastinate, it's often because people who experience the anxiety of having a certain task and the performative aspect of it, and so they will put it off until the last second as a way to maintain control and as a way to avoid the anxiety of the thing that they have to do. And then it's a positive feedback loop, because then they get behind on it and it builds up, and then that means more stress, and that means putting it off more as a way to have control and a way to avoid the anxiety until it reaches critical mass. And then a person either fights through it or they become incredibly apathetic and just don't do the thing they're supposed to do. Hello, Derp. Doesn't want to visit me in my place, so that's that. That is unbelievable, Lemon. I'm so sorry you're having to deal with that. I know that doesn't change anything to hear me say that, but man, that sucks. I'm jealous of people that can cry. I've numbed myself so much that I'm not sure I'm capable of crying. Yeah, crying is a fickle thing. You've mentioned that before, K-Girl. I know that it's... I mean, okay, you don't have to answer this, K-Girl, if you don't want to, but, like, how long has it been since you last cried? Procrastination is related to stress and anxiety. Yes, it is. That's all it is. It's not about the work. It's not about efficiency. It's about avoidance of anxiety. Procrastination is an avoidance-seeking behavior, more often than not. A lot of treatment for chronic procrastination is the same as anxiety work, and I am a person who procrastinates. My optimal level of like productivity happens under the duress of anxiety. I almost use anxiety as a way to challenge myself and as a way to create enough of a pressure cooker that I then feel compelled to get something done, and it's the only thing I can focus on. But it's definitely an avoidance-seeking behavior of whatever the anxiety or the distress is of having to do it right away. What gets real fun is when the anxiety is part of procrastination meets the executive dysfunction of ADD and you have super procrastination. Yes, unfortunately. So is learning not to need that level of control something that should be worked on? What do you mean, Coder? Can you elaborate on that real quick? On what you mean? What's the difference between procrastination and just being lazy? Just being lazy would probably mean that, like, you just straight up don't ever get it done or don't care much. I don't know. Lazy is like a personality trait that we throw on people. Like, lazy is an amalgam of I choose to do the easy way instead of the hard way, or I will choose to be leisurely instead of engaging in hard work, whether that's of an avoidance-seeking behavior or not. But lazy tends to be more of it's like a label we put on things as opposed to being a process in and of itself. Whereas procrastination is a process. It's an action. Well, it's a lack of action to some extent, but they're different in that way, at least as far as I conceptualize it. Easily 5 years. Oh, wow. I don't mean that to sound like I think it's ridiculous that it's been 5 years. It's just that's a long time. I procrastinate all the time. Yeah, me too. Is there such thing as a positive feedback loop? I wish I could find that loop as opposed to the loop I live in. Okay, so we have to be careful when we talk about positive feedback loops, finding my wings. Positive feedback loops are not good, necessarily. Positive feedback loops could be good or bad. Positive in this instance means the addition of something and an escalation as the consequence of addition, as opposed to a good feedback loop. So like a positive feedback loop that's good would be I exercise, then I lose weight, I get attention from people, I like that attention, so it motivates me to exercise more, I lose more weight, I get the attention I'm looking for. Like, that's a healthy positive feedback loop. A negative feedback loop would be something like I expect, or like a positive feedback loop that's bad would be something like I stress out because I eat too much, and then that makes me eat more, and then I'm stressed because I'm eating too much. Like, that would be an unhealthy positive feedback loop. So positive feedback loops are just a process as opposed to being good or bad. I've learned so much in only 5 minutes. That's what I'm here for, Husker Lover. You said that procrastination was about maintaining control. It can partly be that, Coder. So there can be a control fallacy locked into procrastination where, like, it's an avoidance of anxiety, but it can also for some be a way of maintaining control of the anxiety itself, or it's a feigned control or false control of I can control my anxiety by putting it off and doing other things instead, even though this thing is looming over me and has some level of what I've perceived to be control over my life, if that makes sense. So yeah, it can be a combination. It's not only about anxiety. It's not only about control. It's about a lot of things. Also, how gorgeous is this landscape right now? I had a lecturer who said lazy people make good engineers because they find the most energy efficient and simplified method to go through things. That can be true, Lynx. Like, efficiency is sometimes because people don't want to take the long way. That, sure. Bye, Lemon. Have a good one. I was stuck in that loop for a long time. Yeah, it's common. It's totally weird. I can't burp or cry. 2 basic human traits. Well, someday, K-Girl, if it all uncorks, you'll just be burping and crying for like 4 hours. No matter what, I can't. I have no idea why. Even in a situation where I need to yell, my body will not let me. It's the most annoying thing ever. I can't yell. Interesting. Like raising your voice, just not in you? My screw you anxiety mindset has ended up with me having a seizure every single time, but, well, there's a lot I can say about that. Long story short, I've started to learn recently that I can't keep ruling out my coping mechanisms to avoid seizures. I've ended up ruling out so many that I'm only allowed to deal with problems in one way, and not only can I not maintain, but I can even prove that it works, and it's stifling as hell. I can imagine it is, Rain. Keep wishing people would stop reminding me how hard this time of year it will be since my mom passing this time 2 years ago. It's like they want me to be miserable. This time of year is... Oh, no. I'm going completely the wrong way. This time of year is really interesting because people... Some people experience it as stressful. Some people experience it as joyful. Some people are anywhere in between. And we have this tendency to want people to be aware of the fact that this is not just a time of year that people only experience the way that we do. I don't know, Husker, in a lot of cases like that, I'm not saying this to like negate or, you know, make you feel or them feel better, but it's kind of like one of those things where like when people are on the outskirts or are watching a person grieve or go through whatever their process is in something like that, sometimes they try to mitigate their own anxiety by downloading it into the person who they believe should be grieving the most, and then they kind of look to that person to see what the deal is, without just owning up to the fact that maybe it's hard because they are having a hard time, but because it's not tolerable for them to see themselves as having a hard time, they download it into the person who theoretically should be having the hard time, if that makes sense. It can be kind of rough. Is there any major differences between procrastination due to ADD and procrastination due to anxiety? I mean, potentially, Kaladnar, like you could say do the ADD is because selective focus is a lot harder to do, and so the person will either struggle to focus at all or they'll selectively focus on something else, whereas like the anxiety could be I experience the anxiety, engage in avoidance seeking behavior as a result. Like, I mean, those are the ways that it could be different, but procrastination as a process, as a behavioral process, generally looks the same. The reason behind it sometimes matters but sometimes doesn't, because it's kind of like, okay, well, we have to change the behavior. So all right, I got nothing for the photographer, so whatever. I can raise my voice slightly, but to yell like I yell sometimes, to not walk in front of my car, my voice chokes off. Wow, so is that like a physiological thing, Wolfer? Like just your vocal cords just won't let you do it? I'm curious.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
Look at all those
Wolfer, thank you very much for the bits. I appreciate that.
You're getting paid
very kind of you to do. Sun Lexor, hello. Well, thank you for being here and giving me a platform to do what I do, son. I appreciate having you in here. How are you doing today? Is it normal to have a time from an hour a day of intense happiness and apathy problems after days of extreme anxiety, then go back to anxiety after the happiness? I try to refrain from ever using the word normal, but I mean, it's certainly common. Like if you're experiencing that now I give up. I'm sure even in chat, there's probably people that would say that they've experienced that before. I know I have. So thank you for the follow, son. I appreciate that. Oh, don't rattle the package. Don't rattle the package. God, I don't even know where I'm going. I'm assuming up to that installation up there. This is intense, man. Oh, now I got BTs to deal with. Krusty Krab pizza is the pizza. This game reminds me of DayZ without the zombies or other players trying to take your stuff. I can see that. I'm doing okay. I'm doing well, son. I'm enjoying the fact that today is my day off. It's been a pretty stressful week for me, so it's kind of nice to just kind of relax and play some Death Stranding and chat with everybody. So that's lovely. But all in all, I'm doing really well. I have been in a good place lately, which I am grateful for. Oh, man. Hold your breath. Hold your breath, Sam. Hold your breath. We're going over here. Easy. I'm having a night terror, especially. Apparently, I'll yell. Honestly, if I had to guess, I'd say it's a trauma response, maybe. But honestly, I have no idea. Okay. Thank you for the clarification. I've been trying to break free from the loops I'm caught in, and it feels all but impossible. So, I say this in general, finding this isn't like therapeutic advice or anything, but it's something to consider with positive feedback loops, which is oftentimes people will set a goal when they're stuck in certain loops that they want the new thing they do to not be what they're used to. And those are not generally useful goals to have. If you're ever going to engage in a new feedback loop or in a new sort of behavior to disrupt a feedback loop, you have to replace the behaviors with something else. So like a goal can't just be to not be something. It has to be, I will do X instead. I will find some kind of reinforcement loop by doing whatever it might be. Very important thing to consider when we're thinking about feedback loops. Hey, have a good one, Tree Hugger. Thank you for being here. Thank you again for the generosity, dude. I really appreciate it. I'm so grateful to have you as part of our community. And I do not like these BTs messing with me right now. And I also don't feel good about this river at all. This is going to be a disaster. I suppose I could go up. Oh, I'm going to have to cross. Oh, oi, 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 oi. That is very yellow. Stupid question, but is there any reason for why some people who had a traumatic childhood continue to cycle of abuse versus break the cycle? Like my friend's dad grew up with an abusive father, he continued to cycle. My dad grew up with an abusive mom, he broke the cycle.
Hey,
That's just
you're
nature
gonna love
versus
this.
nurture. Peter Matthews, thank you very much for the follow. So I've talked about this a little bit before, but it's worth me repeating and talking about again, K-Girl, because I love that question. It depends on the person, but generally the reason why people who have a traumatic childhood will continue the cycle of abuse is usually because despite the fact that it's not a great thing, it's what that person is used to. So what happens when you grow up in an abusive household is if your attachment figures hurt you, you associate like closeness, love, like caretaking with pain and a lack of safety. And those are two really difficult things to hold at the same time. And then what'll happen is kids will blame themselves for it because that's just how it works. Your brain's not developed enough to have any context or understanding of that. So when you've learned that closeness comes with pain, and maybe you learned from watching what you watched in terms of the abuse that the way that you are able to have any sort of power and control is to be aggressive. When you get into adulthood, you will usually continue that because, one, you don't have any other template, so you don't know any other way. And let's get us into the alternative behaviors I was talking about a minute ago. But also then if you get into an intimate relationship and there's a level of intimacy that happens and you experience a fear response in that attachment because of the lack of safety, and the way that you learned to maintain control in that capacity is to fight back or is to be aggressive or is to hurt the target of what you're afraid of, then you will keep the cycle going because that's what you know how to do. It takes an immense amount of insight and willpower and ability to engage in change to actually break the cycle of abuse, because what you'd have to ask that person to do is relearn how to navigate their attachment, which is to say, like, okay, so when I start to feel closeness with somebody, I have to put it together in my head that this new person is not the person who was my original attachment figure, and I'm now transferring, because we transfer attachment. So you transfer your family of origin attachment into your intimate relationships, and then those attachments then transfer to each other if they're intimate relationships. And so there's this carrying of this that gets taken into it, and then you have this template, you have this expectation that when I experience closeness, I will be hurt. I'm going to assert some level of control over that because that's too painful for me. The idea that somebody could hurt me, I'm going to fight back. It's really rough. So that's generally how that happens. Now, that's an oversimplified version. You'd have to go on a case-by-case, context-by-context basis in order to really have the full story for somebody. But that, like as a therapist, if I'm looking at somebody who had an abusive childhood and they're starting to perpetuate that cycle of abuse into adulthood, that's the first place I'm going in thinking about it. And I would share this type of thing with a client who's experiencing that. Let's see. Thidian, hello. Good to see you. Anthony, hello. I streamed almost 4 hours of Death Stranding. That's awesome. How did it go? But yeah, not a stupid question, K-Girl. That's a really legitimate question. Actually, on the subject of night terrors, I've heard that it involves a lot of the streaming and things without an actual bad dream attached to it. Like if you have night terrors, you could actually have a good dream and still end up screaming in your sleep, or is it generally attached to nightmares? I honestly do not know the answer to that, Rain. I know that in my experience, because I get night terrors frequently, in my experience, I don't remember the night terrors. And I think one of the hallmarks of night terrors is that the person who's experiencing that night terror does not remember what happened. That's the difference between a night terror and a lucid nightmare, from my understanding of it. So... that has happened to me. I assume you're talking about that the cycle of abuse thing, Peter. What's your opinion on neurofeedback? I love how often I've been getting asked about this lately. Okay, so I think neurofeedback is really cool. My wife actually, she's a therapist and she does neurofeedback, also known as biofeedback, son. I think it's really awesome. She would tell you, like if she was on stream, she would tell you that she has had a lot of success working with clients using biofeedback because they are able to see the way they regulate their breathing and using their alternative self-talk or narratives or whatever it is to actually regulate themselves in times of distress. And you can see it in real time. And when clients can see that in real time, like you literally get to see yourself doing something that is more effective than what you were doing prior. And that's really neat. So my opinion of it is that it works for a lot of people. There's some people who it may not work for, but that there's definitely evidence to support the fact that biofeedback is an effective way to treat stuff. Oh, nice, Anthony. Meditation and medication helped a bunch. Like, holy shit. Yes, they certainly can. I was in an 8.5-year abusive relationship with a guy. Well, I'm glad to hear that there is a was in that sentence, Peter. Okay. It is being in an abusive relationship is really scary, and it's unenviable. It's hard to leave abusive relationships. You can be gaslit into staying. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons why people stay, but I'm glad to hear that you are no longer in that relationship, Peter. So why doesn't that happen with people who grew up with abusive parents but didn't continue the cycle of abuse? So the thing about it, Wolfer, is people can choose how they want to behave. Like that's an adult thing, right? Like you can look at something and say, all right, I'm going to make a behavioral choice here. So a person could say like, all right, I'm angry. Well, I watched one of my parents navigate abuse by causing harm to others. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to choose to do something else instead of navigate my anger in the way that I watched this person from my family of origin navigate. I mean, that takes a lot of effort. Don't get me wrong. That is not easy to do. But that's why. I mean, breaking the cycle of abuse is a conscious effort that's made by the person who is breaking the cycle. Truly. And that person deserves a lot of credit for that. we tend to take that for granted, the idea that people don't want to hurt other people. And like, yeah, we shouldn't hurt each other. For some people, they're primed to see that as being the way that you navigate a relationship when there's distress. So they have to work really hard in order to rewire that. And rewiring learned behavior is incredibly difficult to do. Still craving for a Chicago dog? I hear you, Anthony. I almost got one for lunch today. Not to rub it in, but I was thinking about it too today, since we talked about it the other night. I've heard of that term, and it's done at my work, but what is it exactly? Which term, Kaladnar? Sorry, I've talked about a couple things since I saw that text. Gaslighting's the worst. It is. It's traumatic to be in abusive relationships. It really is. Oh, no. Come on, Sam. Nice and easy, buddy. Nice and easy. No, no, no. Don't shake it. Don't shake it. Okay. What is it? So what biofeedback is you get these sensors that are put on your fingers, and sometimes they get the little sensors that are put like on your chest and your head. It tracks your heart rate, skin conductance, all sorts of physical manifestations of stress. And when you're hooked up to the machine, you are then introduced to a distressing circumstance, whether it's a thought or talking about something that stresses you out, whatever it is. And you see the way that your biology changes as a result of that. Your heart rate, your breathing, your skin, like all this stuff. And so what a therapist who is doing biofeedback does is they then have the person engage in certain behaviors, like breathing exercises, for example, and there's feedback in real time that's tracking those behaviors, like the breathing. And then sometimes it gets gamified where you have, like, the example I always use when I talk about this is Allie has a program where the client's driving a car, and the car is driven effectively through the client's use of breath on regular intervals, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And they keep the car on the track by breathing along with that. So it takes like your weight, your height, all sorts of stuff to figure out what your ideal breathing is and stuff like that. And then you get to watch it in real time. And usually you only do like 3 to 5 sessions, sometimes less. It's really neat.
Main lock until departure. All clear. Welcome, Sam Porter.
Now I feel like a freak for not being abusive or thinking it would be hard to make the choice not to hurt others. Wait, the choice was never hard for me to make. Now I feel like a freak for not being abusive or thinking it not to be hard to make a choice not to hurt others. Well, I mean, that's understandable. At the same time, like, what's easy for some is hard for others, and that's true of anything. So I give a lot of credit to anybody who breaks the cycle, whether it's easy for them to do or not. I'm so glad to hear that, Wolfer. How much do they charge for the Chicago dog? It depends on where you go to get it. The place that I go, I think it's like $3.95 or something like that, like $3. I mean, it does kind of work like a polygraph, yeah. How long does something have to go on for it to be counted as emotional abuse? Oh, man. I don't know that there's a specific, like, time marker on that now. I really don't. Because I think you could have, like, an acute thing that was, like, traumatic and it was a singular emotional event. You could also have a prolonged pattern of behaviors that are considered to be emotional abuse. I don't know that it's... I don't know that there's a hard answer to that, to be completely honest. Okay, so I'm assuming that means I can't climb that. So now we're going to have to go all the way back down this goddamn slope because I was a knucklehead about the way that I did this. Okay. Something that only lasted a short while affects someone permanently? Yes, that's a trauma response now. You could have a singular event that then has lasting consequences. I mean, I'll use just a very common example. Think about 9/11. If you watched what happened on 9/11 and you were part of that, and that was a singular event, that could have lasting impact on you because of the trauma of bearing witness to that event. So, absolutely. In some ways, that's kind of what makes it so scary, is the fact that we could be traumatized by a singular instance. They say trauma is just a gross violation of expectation. I had an abusive childhood. I had several traumas as an adult. All I know is how to beat myself up. It doesn't help anything. It doesn't make sense, but it's what I know. It's exactly right, Finding. That's what I'm talking about. Is we get habituated to it. It's how we learn to talk to ourselves. A kid internalizes the message from their parents in an egocentric way, whether they want to or not. That's just the way the brain works when it's developing. So when we become adults and we beat ourselves up and we really hate that, sometimes there's this tendency to take that out on other people. Of, I hate myself, so I'm going to beat you up. And then that also confirms what I know about myself, because there are a lot of abusers that after they engage in the abusive act will feel guilty about it, but it will also reinforce what they're telling themselves. It reinforces a part of their identity, whether they like it or not. It's a very complex thing. We tend to oversimplify that stuff, but it's complicated. Hell yeah, Anthony. Usually I get like a roast beef sandwich and then 2 hot dogs. That's my favorite. Is it okay that I have trust issues after what happened to me? It would certainly make sense, Peter. If you're in an abusive relationship for 8.5 years, having trust issues would make a hell of a lot of sense to me. Absolutely. And I hear you on that, Finding. That's common, unfortunately, with having self-talk like that. I don't understand how the antimatter on Sam's back isn't getting bumped from his steps, but if a truck bumps a pebble, it degrades the container, it can explode. I don't understand it either, Lynx. I think it's probably just a way to get me to not use the motorcycle.
All weapons will remain locked until
But hey, I did it. We made it.
Thanks.
All rusted out. I actually hope that the container... I wonder if I should get a... Oh no, the container damage is fine. Okay. Container damage, not worried about. I still have nightmares. That's also common. Do you talk to a... Do you have a therapist, Peter? Do you ever talk to a therapist about it? Therapists are usually helpful in the context of recovering from trauma, in that they can help reauthor the narrative around what happened. I've struggled with believing self-harm is better than taking it out on other people. Well, I mean, you're still hurting somebody.
Delivery complete. Display.
Like, I feel like I think that's a very important reframe when looking at self-harm, is you are still harming somebody. You are a person. You are somebody who matters, who has experiences, who has emotions, who has all these things. And when you hurt yourself, you're hurting somebody. Sometimes there's this tendency to distance ourselves from ourselves and look and hold ourselves to a different standard. And, you know, if you can think about yourself as being a person, sometimes it changes the impact that self-harm can have.
The hell do you think you're doing, Bridget?
Oh, but I get it. I get that it's a struggle.
That
Absolutely.
What you're building is carrying some nasty stuff. Stuff nobody would want anywhere near them.
Ah, what's up, Victoria? How was therapy? Are you here after or before therapy?
Chiral network or the UCA.
That voice. Is that you, Mama? You hit your head there, Mama?
I'm not yours, and yours
What?
is no kind of mother.
All right. Enough games, Mama.
I don't think you heard me, mister. Mountain Knot City is telling you and the UCA to take a hike.
Ooh.
You people keep doing what you're doing,
Hi,
and
Nine.
put us right back on the road to the Death Stranding. We didn't ask for you to come and tell us how to live our lives. We'll decide that for ourselves, thank you very much. All we want from you is the occasional delivery. Nothing else.
So you speak for the city.
I'm not entirely sure on that one, Wolfer. I don't know that we have a locked down understanding of that. Oh, nice, Victoria. Cool. Someone who matters. I've written myself out of the picture for so long that I struggle to believe that tag actually applies to me as well. Well, as far as I'm concerned, Finding, for whatever it's worth, I think you matter. I know we've not known each other for too long, but you do matter. I say that as part of my motto every time I leave. You matter, your experiences are valid. Don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise. We all matter, every one of us.
The name's Lochner.
Lochner. Hold up, I need to talk to you. You're a technician, right?
Look, go home and don't come back.
Well, Peter, this is a community
I need your help.
that will be very supportive and empowering as it relates to going to therapy. Part of why I do this stream is to hopefully make therapy and mental health information seem more accessible. But feeling the shame when you go to therapy is very common. It's part of the stigma. I hate that that's something that people experience as it relates to going to therapy. I think everybody should go to therapy and should feel empowered by it rather than ashamed of it. It makes sense why people do because of the way that therapy is represented in our society, but it's totally understandable why you would feel that way, Peter.
We need her, and we need her people. We've lost too many.
What do we
others
need
as
them
it is.
for, Die Hardman? Tell me that.
Knot City, the Chiral Network, and the UCA will never be complete.
What now?
So, here's
I
the
agree
thing.
now.
Sam, Lochner is Mama's twin
Cheers
sister.
finding.
Former Bridges 1. Went west with the others. Second group, just like Mama. Mama's not her real name, of course. That'd be Malingen. Both have dunes
Malingen?
involved for scientific
Came up with that name.
purposes. Mama's primary field of expertise is applied physics. Lochner's
That also makes sense, Peter.
Mama designed the Cupid hardware. Lochner, the software. They said they could converse over.
My parents still don't know why I'm going to therapy. Because you haven't told them or because they haven't listened? Tomorrow I'll be calling in some discharges to insurance companies, and as soon as the boss said that to me, I immediately forgot everything. Wait, what do you mean, Victoria?
Said they had a special bond that led them. I don't know how that's possible, but I'll tell you this. There wouldn't be a chiral network without them. They were so close that some said they were like one person in two bodies. Might be why they were able to develop the Cupid. But they had a falling out after Malingen's accident.
Oh, that's cool, DMZ. I didn't know that.
Bridges and cut off all contact with us. I don't know what happened between them. But if we don't bring Lochner around, our plans to make America whole again are finished.
There's
Not that I'm
something
asking
about
you to
that.
stick your nose in their personal business. Though if you did, it might help us figure out how to bring Lochner around. Which would be great, because our plans to make America whole again are finished without her.
I got you,
In the
Victoria.
meantime, if you've got any bright ideas, feel free to give them a shot.
Because I haven't told them, I don't want them to think even less of me. They don't believe in depression and anxiety when it comes from... Oh, man, 9. I'm so sorry to hear that. Whatever it's worth, I think more of you for the fact that you go. And that you have made the effort to do that despite the fact that your parents feel that way about it. That says a lot. By the way, to any of you that go to therapy, I just want to make a blanket statement here about it. If you go to therapy, that is a sign of strength. If you go to therapy despite the stigma, the adversity, and all that stuff, it's because you are strong, not because you are weak, and it is a reflection of your strength and resiliency. If you don't go to therapy, that it's not to say if you don't go to therapy, you're bad. I understand why people don't go to therapy. I'm totally down with that too. Just for those of you who are going to therapy, that is a sign of strength and it's a big deal. Don't ever discredit that. Don't ever let the stigma get to you on that. Hey, you at least you went at some point, Nix. Right? Like, we all got to start at some point. Sometimes it's later than we'd like, but... Alrighty. Let's go... Oh, I can't even enter the private room? Oh, Lord. Something's going to happen when I walk up this way. I got you, Victoria. Poof. Indeed.
Beginning scan. Have a pleasant journey.
I was doing good and not crying, but there you go saying something heartfelt like that. Oh, Wolfer, I mean it. Let's see. There's nothing wrong with crying, by the way, Wolfer. You don't have to be ashamed of that. Boy. What do we do here? I'm not crying, you're crying. We're all crying. Hey, I've cried on stream. You guys have seen it. Been offered full expense paid counseling by my college. I'm worried that by accepting it, I'll be taking away from the people who need it more. No! No! Now I give up. No, 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 no. I love you now. I'm just gonna... Anytime I hear this... It is not a competition. It is... If you go to therapy... Whatever reason you go to therapy for, it is legitimate. It is not at the expense of somebody else who needs it more. It is all relative. Okay? The stuff that we need to talk about is all relative. If it's important to you, it's important. It is not... I never in the 7 years that I have been doing therapy, never one time have I ever sat with a client and thought to myself, oh, I could be working with somebody who's got more stuff they need to work on. Never. But I have had so many people come and sit with me and say, oh, I'm sure that your time would be better spent with somebody else. No, my time is better spent with the people who are here in the room with me. I will never, ever, ever compare clients, and good therapists will never do that. So
It was about to drop.
you are not taken away from somebody else who needs it more by going now. You're really not. And I say that to anybody else who's in here who has ever had that thought cross your mind about therapy. That is a mindset that keeps people from engaging in the assistance that they need. I say that with absolute love for you now, okay? It's not for me to be nasty.
Up, do you?
Gilroy, thank you very much. 10 months, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for being a mod, too. Hello, Shyred. Honestly, because of you, Dr. Mick, I've gotten to where I'm not only willing to tell people that I do see a therapist, but kind of making a point to, when it does come up, to say it without being sheepish or anything. Good on you, Rain. I'm glad. I'm glad. Own it, man. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Despite everything I've personally gone through, I also strongly feel like it doesn't matter how much you've gone through. Your experience is your own, and it matters just as much as mine. That is exactly correct. I brought that up with my therapist. He suggested we go for a while yet. The next visit, I was so ready to see him. He may be smarter than me by a mile. You're a pretty smart guy, though, Tree. Oh, man, I didn't even know what to say. Thank you for the reassurance. That's comforting. Yeah, seriously now. I mean every word of that. I really do. I wish that I could just erase that from people's minds. You are just as deserving of assistance as anybody else is. That's why I wish everybody had access to therapy, because then we wouldn't have to do that. But I never, ever think about that. And I've never met a therapist who's thought that. I've never met a therapist where I was in a consultation and that person was like, oh man, I'm so tired of working with these people. I could work with people more deserving. I've never heard somebody say that. And if I did, I would never refer to that therapist. What is this stuff? Ew. Gives Dr. Mick in chat a big Wisconsin hug. Yo, cheesehead. I'm in Chicago, Peter. Behind me, you actually, in a little bit, you'll be able to see the outline of the city of Chicago behind me, but Midwestern represent. Love it, tree hugger. You've got some excellent emotes, man. Okay, so I'm supposed to figure out what to do? But I don't even know what to do. I have a feeling that it's something to do with this goopy stuff, but... Iowa, yeah, more Midwest. Love it. Good old Iowa. Driven through Iowa a few times, but I've never actually stopped there other than to get gas. I've not really ever been... I haven't only been to Wisconsin a handful of times, too. Mail received from Charles Kahn. People think the bridges are terrorists. Thinky face. All right, let's read it. Let's read an email. Let's see. Is there a way that I can talk to you in private, Mick, if I'm having a bad day? Okay, so I get asked this a lot, Peter. I appreciate you asking. I can't do therapy. I can't do therapy on stream or off stream unless I have a service agreement with somebody who lives in the state of Illinois, because my license is only in, like, Illinois is the only jurisdiction I'm able to do therapy in. Where it's tough is I can't do too much in terms of, like, talking with people through a bad day or talking through their emotions and stuff, because I have an ethical code that I have to abide by where I can't really, like, do therapy or anything that really resembles therapy unless somebody has that service agreement for liability purposes. Now, I will say that in the Discord that I have that goes along with this, there's a lot of resources. There's a support chat. There's all that kind of thing. I mean, I always welcome, my DMs are open. I am willing to talk to people through DMs. I have to be very careful about the way I respond to certain things. The thing is like, you're welcome to talk to me about anything you want to talk to me about. It's my job to say, like, hey, I can't really answer that, or I can't go beyond that, or whatnot. Like, I'm the one that has to be mindful of what my ethical code is around that. But you are certainly welcome to reach out through DMs. I highly recommend reaching out through the support chat in Discord, though. There's also a questions for DrMick tab in there where you can ask me stuff while I'm offline. But I am not super active in terms of, like, Discord DMs otherwise, because honestly, like, I always hate saying this, but, like, I'm pretty busy in that way, and I don't like leaving people hanging. And Discord's a tough one because people will reach out to me on Discord, and then it sometimes takes me a long time to reply just because of how much there is that goes into that. I do get a lot of Discord DMs, so, which I'm okay with, and I respond to them when I can get to them. But yeah, that's kind of the nature of this. But regardless, Peter, I am honored that you feel comfortable talking to me, and like I said, you are welcome to DM me, and I will tell you if there are limits to how I can respond. That goes to anybody else who's here. Hope you're kicking ass and taking names, Sam. We heard HQ suspects the whole Central Knot Void Out thing might have been terrorism. Kind of blew my mind to think they're hitting the East Coast already. Things have been getting worse out here, too. It was way quieter in this neck of the woods when we first showed up, that's for sure. Back then, it didn't matter what breed of crazy they were. Separatists, isolationists, blah, 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 blah. Oh, that guy's not helpful at all. This guy wants more pizza? Okay. Would you speak to Mama for me? I left you some extra supplies. Should help you get to Mama's lab safe and sound. Oh, probably should have read that a while back, but I didn't. No problem, Finding. I appreciate you being here and chatting with us. It was lovely to have you in here. Dude, Tree Hugger. Holy crap, dude. With the 5 gifted subs. Vivity, Tomcat, Jinrai, Troublesome, and Panda. Enjoy the subs. Enjoy watching my channel ad-free, thanks to the wonderful and generous and incredible Mr. Tree Hugger. Also, if you guys don't already, y'all should go follow Tree Hugger. Because he streams. And he's great. And he's mental health oriented. And I love that about him. A small win for me because I was sick during the last appointment. I missed that one and I didn't have any more standing. I just sent an email to my therapist and the request for more appointments, something I wouldn't have done a few months ago because it scares me. Yo, let's celebrate the shit out of that, 9. That's awesome. Good on you for stepping out of your comfort zone and advocating for yourself. That's a big deal. What do I do?
Beginning scan. Scanning bridges ID. Verifying ID. Clear.
Maybe build the road?
Until departure. All clear.
There weren't a lot of supplies laying around, and his voice is super soothing. Yes, it is. Why do therapists and counselors set a session limit? In some cases, Husker, it's because they have to. because it's usually insurance companies that set the limit on the number of sessions. If you're using insurance, I don't have a session limit. I've been seeing people for, like, I've had some clients I've been seeing for going on almost 3 years at this point. I don't. It's usually, sometimes people's insurance will say you can only have 10 sessions. Sometimes people's universities will say you can only have a certain amount, that kind of thing. It's one of those things where, like, the limit is usually some external thing. I don't know. Now, if some other therapist says, you know what, I'm only going to see you for 5 sessions, I'd honestly want to ask them why. And they had damn well better give me an answer, because if they were going to be weird about it, then I wouldn't want to see them in the first place. 6 months to a year doesn't seem long enough to me. For some people, it's not. For some people, like, 3 sessions is good enough. For other people, they need more time and support. So it really depends on what you're bringing in, what the resources are, what the therapist is able to do, if there are constraints to the organization that the therapist works for example. All right. Tips, interviews, activity log, mail. I really don't know what to do. Guess I'm gonna go back in there.
Beginning scan. Scanning bridges ID.
So confused.
ID. Clear. All weapons.
Apparently the Social Security Department is hiring robots to call people. Well,
Sam.
hiring robots? Seems a little weird. You just mean like using them? The only time a therapist gave me a session limit was when he was moving. Yeah, that would be one example.
Suit.
Hello, Skog.
Welcome, Sam.
And Troublesome and High Romance. Health insurance here only gives 12 sessions and that's it. Yep. It sucks. Yeah, depending on your insurance plan, some of them are very, very, very limiting. I wonder, is this an instance where I have to just like zip line? I recently discovered that Miss Tree is going to see our therapist every 2 weeks and I go once a month. I don't know how to think about that. Does that mean that she's in a worse place than me or than I realized? Or do women benefit from more frequent sessions or what? Just kind of depends on the person, Tree Hugger. Like, I've never been one to think that the more frequent of sessions, the worse off somebody is. That's not generally how it works. You know, it could just be that she needs a little bit of extra support. It just, yeah, it really depends on the person. I mean, there's some people that come in and see me bi-weekly. There's some people that see me once a month. It just really depends. Hard to say. But no, there's not really anything I've ever seen about like gender as it relates to frequency of sessions being more effective or not. Oh yeah, Kaladner, I've gotten that call too. Ridiculous. When I was in 5th grade, I was in a mental hospital to learn to control my anger for a month, and that's what my mom and dad's insurance would allow. Yeah, there you go. That makes... Shifted. Have a great lurk. Thank you for being here. Guys, what do you... I don't know what to do. I really don't. Do you typically...
You should have more faith in yourself.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
Do you typically separate married couples into separate sessions or do you mix it up? I would say 95% of the time, Tree Hugger, I am working with couples as a couple. I only split couples up when I need to... So like an example of when I might split a couple up is if they have like this couple goal and then one person has this like certain like individual thing that's going on that is preventing them from being able to engage in like the couple goal. And so sometimes I'll take a couple extra sessions with that person individually to work on that specific thing and then pull them back in together.
What are you doing, Sam?
The other time, it's standard practice to separate couples when there is like abuse or domestic violence that's present in it. But other than that, like some therapists have certain preferences with the way they do that, but I tend to prefer to work with both people in the room at once, even if I'm doing some individual work. All right, Kaladnar, have a good one. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the 14-month sub.
All weapons will remain locked until departure. All clear. Welcome.
Bye, 9.
Porter Bridges.
Do you tell people going through a transition? Do you tell people going through transition to do a certain amount of therapy, or is it up to the client? What kind of transition are you talking about, Shyred? Because it would depend on what the transition is.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
Maybe I go up to this lake? I really don't know. I do not know where to go or what to do. But I'm going to just climb that mountain. I'm going to climb that mountain. And we're going to see what happens. I have a broken malleus handle, and Advil is not great with controlling pain. My consult with the surgeon is next week, and my anxiety has been fairly heavy. Thank you for your stream. It distracts me from both, even for a small amount of time. I am happy to be able to help with that, son, in whatever way that I can. It's lovely to have you in here. When I went to therapy with my ex, he refused to go any longer as soon as the therapist wanted to do individual therapy. Yeah, that can happen, unfortunately. Gender reassignment. So I think therapy can be really helpful. There are some doctors who do the reassignment surgery, Shyred, who will say that they will not do the procedure unless the person is going to therapy, because of just how traumatic that can be on the body. Like, even if that is, you know, what the person is, like, they've fully committed to that, they're totally down to do it. Engaging in that process in and of itself can come with it a lot of mental turmoil. So having therapy in that instance for an extra level of support, I think, can be really helpful. It's something I would generally recommend, but I do also understand that, like, you know, that can add more expense to an already very expensive process. Bookie, what's up? Dear Diary, day 17 of the keto diet. Thinking about going out and painting a rainbow, or perhaps launch a nuke. I haven't decided yet. You sound like my parents, Bookie. My parents have been on the keto diet for a while here. Oh boy, Sam, getting tired, man. We'll see what happens here. My ex was like, we need group therapy because of you. Boy. Therapist actually told me they never advocate doing therapy with an abuser. Yeah, it's you usually, like, the thought behind that is that you generally put the victim at harm in doing that. You need a space to hold the abuser accountable for what's going on, and also a way to safety plan with the person who's being abused. And there's lots of research that supports the idea that you should separate couples that are in abusive situations. It's pretty standard practice. Anyone seen that video of moose running through a chest deep snow at about 40 miles per hour? We could use that moose here. Yeah, I really could. Sam's about to be super worn out from this. I really hope I'm going the right way. This feels like what I should be doing, but who knows? Like, I gotta believe that there's something to these, like, house thingies going up this mountain like this. Moose are dangerous, man. They kill a lot of people. People hit them with their cars, and then they fall on top of the car and smash everybody in them. It's rough. They're also really aggressive. What? Are we in Snow BT territory here? I'm exhausted just watching, Sam. Yeah. Can I post a link Let me... Hold on, tree hugger. Go for it. Oh man, I want to watch that now. I'm gonna watch that when I'm done guiding Sam through this snowbound this hellscape. Timefall snow will drastically accelerate the passage of time for anything it touches, just like ordinary timefall. Cargo containers will deteriorate if they come into contact with timefall snow. Good thing I don't really have a ton. Timefall snow. Boy, they thought of everything with this timefall shit. Oh. This is intense. I'm like climbing Everest right now. No problem, Zeph. It's all good. Oh boy. I know. I'm excited to see that video of the moose. The moose forgot he left the oven on.
Well, let's get this show on the road.
All right, Sam. This is all you, man. I have no idea if I'm going the right way. Am I going? Okay. We're going to work our way up to that lake. Something tells me I'm not supposed to be up here yet, but whatever. Nix, that's very true as well. I'm only 50 minutes a week. The people that come to therapy have to do the rest of the time without me. I think the mark of a good therapist is generally a therapist who can help people take what they're learning in the room and take it outside and understand how to use it outside the room. I think there's a lot of therapists that will tell their clients what to do for homework without helping them understand how to do it first or do it in the room first. And I think that's... I don't think that's great. All right, let's see what we got down here. Hey, what a nice facility we got down here by the lake. Hartman's lab. All right, here's to hoping that going to Hartman's lab is actually worth a damn. And then I watch the moose. What do you think the Canadians are going to ride into battle, Wicked? They'll come in on fleets of mooses. Is mooses the... Or moose is the plural of moose, right? Like there were a lot of moose out there? Yeah. Meese. It really should be meese. I don't really understand why it isn't, but...
Scanning bridges ID. Verifying ID.
My therapist spent the entire 8 sessions in silence while I talked. Probably a good thing I changed therapist. Really? Like never said anything? Damn, this is a nice little locale here. Swanky. And there's nothing here. Great. Something tells me this isn't good, that I just did a whole bunch of shit that I didn't need to do. Moose is the plural, unless you're quoting that one comedian. I believe it's Brian something. Love his stuff. I can't remember his name. Moosin. She spoke to me only when I directly asked for tools to cope with issues. Other than that, it was hello. How was your time since we last talked? Which was my cue to fill her in for an hour. Whoa. Heartwarming spa. Let's go. Let's bathe it up, Sam. Yeah. This jacuzzi with a view was constructed in accordance with Hartman's wishes. The water is infused with a diverse range of compounds which are not only beneficial to the body, but are also said to restore stamina and warm the heart and soul. How nice is this? I could go for this right now. Ah. Why is the water green? I don't know. This looks nice. Is BB? Yep, BB's floating in his little boat. Just chilling. Just floating in his little fetus case. He's swimming. Look at him. Look at him swimming around.
Soak it in.
BB sous vide. Yeah, how about it? It's like human veal. Sous vide veal.
Feels like it just repatriated.
What's that supposed to mean, Sam? Oh, baby. All right. Total rest, 55 seconds. 55 seconds of... Yeah. Screw your bamboo dishes.
God damn.
Yeah, that was me, Hyro. For sure. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. If I haven't made that clear already 1,000 times. Where the hell do I go? Interviews. Memory clips. Marriage sucks. Hey, should we read this? I'm a therapist. Maybe I could help him out. Here we go. You still breaking your back hauling shit through the wilderness, Sam? Ever long for a little company? I know I used to. Not anymore. But between you and me, I can't help thinking life was easier back when I was on my own. The freedom to do whatever the hell I wanted. No one pissing and moaning over every tiny thing. Yikes. Where does this girl get off being so effing fussy? I swear I can't do anything right. Should have seen the fight we had the other night. I tell you, it's true what they say. Familiarity breeds contempt. Don't ever get married, Sam. Thumbs down. Jeez. My man. First of all, why are you triangulating me? All right, this is a excellent example of what triangulation looks like. So this guy, all right, we're going to use this as an opportunity to talk about a concept that gets talked about in systemic therapy all the time, which is triangulation, which is where there is anxiety that happens in a dyad, in this case, the junk dealer and his wife. And rather than work with the anxiety, tolerate the anxiety, hold the anxiety within the space of the dyad, instead, the junk dealer, with a low distress tolerance for the amount of anxiety he's feeling in his marriage, triangulates Sam because it stabilizes the anxiety. People reach out to triangles because to third people because triangles are the most simple form of stabilization in like structural engineering. Well, it works for humans too. So we rope Sam in. We offload the anxiety of the situation to Sam, which does not buffer out or assist with navigating the anxiety within the dyad itself between he and his wife. And in fact, it holds it in place and then downloads it into Sam. Now Sam has to carry around the anxiety of this guy's marriage. And what he would do if he was an effective postman therapist hybrid is Sam would say, you know what, junk dealer? Here's the deal, buddy. I really appreciate you sharing the stuff that's going on with your marriage. But honestly, dude, I really think you need to talk to your wife about that. And it sounds like you guys are going to need to communicate better. When you're saying, why does she get off being so effing fussy? What's the I message behind that? What's the statement behind that question? It sounds like there's something about, I feel angry when you state what you need from me. I feel frustrated the way that you're communicating what you need behaviorally rather than talking to me directly. I'm feeling smothered. I'm feeling like I'm over needed, whatever it might be. Let's get into having some effective communication here between you and the wife instead of sending me emails getting me roped into this shit. Come on, bud. But in all seriousness, people do this all the time. Triangulation is something that many of us do when we don't feel like we can handle what's happening in a dyad, because to talk about his current experience in the dyad itself would probably jack the anxiety in the system. And it may be that he doesn't perceive her as reliable enough to hear what it is that he has to say. Right? I mean, what he's essentially saying is, I need some space. I need some autonomy. I'm feeling like I'm too involved. My marriage identity is overtaking my individual identity. I want to be able to have some autonomy. That's a perfectly reasonable request, but it's a request that he needs to make to his wife and state clearly and directly rather than saying it to me first. So there we go. See, you open an email in Death Stranding, and there it is. There's a psychological... I actually might use this in class. Isn't Twitch a form of triangulation? We come here to spill our personal problems and look for validation and support. Isn't that how social media functions ultimately? Merely human... Yeah, I mean, it's a normal thing. It's not a pathological thing. Triangulation is totally normal. We do it all the time. We want support from others. That's not what I'm suggesting. That in this case... If this guy keeps talking to me instead of his wife, that is an unhealthy form of triangulation. But yeah, you could argue I'm a triangle. He's self-victimizing. He works as a junk dealer. He places all the blame for his unhappiness in external things rather than making him into something worth being happy for. That certainly could be a way to think about it too, merely. I like it. Scylla, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate that. Good to have you in here. I hear a lot of the occasional griping at work that's probably triangulation, come to think about it. Sure. People complaining to everyone except the person they have the issue with. That is correct. We do it all the time. You look pretty oval. I look oval. What does that mean, Seth? We go to Twitch for support. Oh, I get what you mean now. Instead of being a triangle, I'm an oval. Yeah, and it's okay to ask for support. That's fine. As a therapist, when I work with couples, I am inherently a triangle in that moment. The purpose of a therapist from the theoretical perspective that conceptualized triangles first, the idea is that the therapist triangulates himself, gets a feel for what the anxiety is, and then eventually pushes the anxiety back into the system, but then gives them effective communication tools for how to navigate that. Can you have too much separation between him and individual him? I gave my ex all the individual time he wanted and he used it to cheat. Well, that would, again, Shy Red, that's where the person who is taking the time for themselves is accountable for their behaviors and doing it. Like, that's unhealthy for the relationship. That's shitty. That's not your fault that he did that, Shy. He chose to do that. That's an action that he took. It's not because you gave him the space. It's because when he was given the space, he used it to do something that was harmful to the relationship. You are not at fault for that. We have to hold people accountable to their behaviors in relationships, good and bad. Oh, look, we got married. Let's see her side of things. How are you holding up, Sam? You must have walked more than 1,000 miles by now. Try not to let it get to you. I'm sure it must be lonely work. Well, anyway, I wanted to get in touch and tell you that we got married. I know. Who gets married in this day and age, right? But through the chiral network, we got in touch with a priest and we said our vows, and that was it. Silly maybe, but it seems to have brought smiles to a few faces. So thanks for making it possible. We owe you more than we can say. Oi. I've been saying oi a lot today, too. I don't really know why. Oh, yeah, check the moose. All right, I'm going to do that, tree hugger. Hold on a second. Let's see what we got here. Moose runs past a group of skiers in deep snow. Oh my God, that would be terrifying. Oh my God.
Holy shit.
Whoa. What a majestic beast. That was insane. Oh my God. All right. I love it. All right, Zeph. Thank you for being here. Glad to have you here. Now that I think that over, it's pretty unusual behavior. We struggle with the challenge many times over by reaching out to people out of the problem instead of the one we have the issue with to begin with. Although I can see how it would allow us to articulate and clarify it to ourselves by talking them out, it is a heavy misuse of energy. I tend to agree with that, merely. Okay. Yeah, man, I'm stuck. Like, I really don't know. I don't know where to go. Bring Mountain Knot City into the chiral network. I attempted to do that. It didn't work. She said, go F yourself, basically. Then they said, you need to figure out a way to get... So I wonder if I need to go back to Mom. That actually sounds right. I should probably go back to Mama. And say, hey, Mama... Get your sister back on the grid here. You think? Can you go inside and see the Hartman? He didn't show up when I went inside, Hyro. I wonder how much of that is fear of confrontation. Depends on the person. See, if I come here, he doesn't say anything. See? Yeah, like I only have like these, which none of them are Sam's orders. They're all standard orders. Like I don't have a Sam's order. So that's why I think I need to go talk to Mama. But there's no circle around her thing, but it would seem like that's where I need to go. Since we're basically talking about like her sister or whatever, or her or whoever the hell she is relative to Mama. So I'm going to go over the mountains here. And we're going to give it a shot. Wire Angel. Welcome in. I didn't even realize that it was a new person who was telling me that. Thank you very much for the assist. I absolutely triangulate, but it helps me process things so I can more effectively talk to the person it actually refers to. That's healthy triangulation, Rain. If you're doing it so that you can be more effective in approaching it in the dyad, that's perfectly reasonable. Again, that's like what I am as a therapist. All right, Skog, thank you for stopping by on your lunch break. I appreciate that. More Timefall snow. Here we go. I love the sleigh bells. Also, look at whoa, look at the city. We're gonna have another nice sunset tonight. Starting to get dark. I hate that it's starting to get dark and it's not even 4 o'clock yet. It's the worst. If you have a private room somewhere, you could get there faster. I unfortunately don't, because I couldn't get a private room in the mountains. So I'm just gonna have to make the walk, which I'm fine doing. Making the walk's fine because it gives us a chance to chat. Yeah, we gotta go talk to Mama. We're gonna go trudge our way through here. I took a nice spa bath, relaxed, stared at the mural. How awful would this be? Can you imagine if I was doing this with like 200 kilograms on my back or whatever, or however many poundage or whatever I carry, and I got those big ass orders and I had to carry this through the snow? Like, this is just brutal, man. Structure in the vicinity of Craftsman has started to deteriorate. Bridge. Okay, I don't really know what that means.
Break.
It is good that it is getting dark earlier. It lends the sunshine to other parts of the world. It allows the life that sustains us to recuperate and helps us to appreciate the warmth of summer. My God, Merely, could you have put that any more beautifully? Could you have made me feel any more like shit for the fact that I'm bitching about the fact that it's getting dark early? I love that. It's so true. Like, yeah, Southern Hemisphere, enjoy the light. My fellow Aussies and South Americans and Africans and whoever else is in the Southern Hemisphere, my Kiwis, enjoy the extra sunlight. Isn't that typical hike to work in Chicago in February? I tell you what, Zach, when it got really cold and snowy in November, this is exactly what it felt like going to work.
Stay away.
Also, it's good to see you, man. And I know, Australia's like on fire right now. P-Deck, all love to you too. I am having an amazing day, and I hope you are having an amazing day as well. Very good to have you in here. Yeah, Australia's got it rough, man. I am going entirely the wrong way. Got BTs in the snow. Ooh. Where in Australia are you, Shifted? Are you like in Melbourne or Sydney? Don't those like coastal areas get more? Isn't that Chicago most of the year? I don't know that I would say most. I would say that this is Chicago usually from like mid-December, although not this year, to like beginning of April. But the really bad snow usually comes in February and March. Pee on snow? Prepare. All right. Yeah. Pee a nice circle here. I don't really know what this is about, but you can have some of our rain. I don't like rain. I don't really want rain. Rain is harder for me to walk in to work in than snow is. Melbourne, cool. I want to go to Melbourne so bad, Shifted. That's like on my bucket list. Haha, what's up, D? No problem being involved in the side project. That's exciting stuff. Is it the project you're doing with your friend? Why do shrooms grow out of his urine? No idea. I think the glowing mushroom was something that like somebody else put down on the ground, or maybe it's something I could eat. Oh, there's some BTs. Ooh, 3 BTs in the snow. Oof. On the BT to assert dominance. I don't know that I'm going to take that risk. Something tells me that's probably not a great idea. It'd be assault with a bodily fluid. We'll do straight rain for the next week every day. It's starting to flood, but it gives me an excuse to capture my neighbor's cat in the day, so I'm cool with it. And you just like house the cat. Oh no! Hold your breath, Sam. Oh my God. Holy shit. Oh my God. Ah, startled. You don't know where I am, BT. You don't know where I am. Don't worry about it. I'm just a guy in the snow holding his breath. Don't worry about it. Just gonna climb this here rock. Oof. All right, am I going? All right, so I really need to. Okay, I really got to be going to the left here. Can't be.
Ain't you a looker?
Don't think that it's a good idea for me to sprint through this. Just watch out for Mega Moose. I know. That would have been, dude, watching that video, it would have been absolutely horrifying to be like cross-country skiing and then all of a sudden this big-ass moose is like running directly at you. No thanks, man. That's like one of the most terrifying things ever. All right, enjoy class, son. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for being a part of us for so long. I look forward to when I get to see you again. Why does the BB stress meter sometimes disappear? Good question. I have no idea. really hope I'm getting out of BT territory soon. I really don't like the BTs at all. They stress me out, man. Whoa! Ooh. This feels like we're walking through Denver. I guess no, not Denver. Denver's not in the mountains. It's next to the mountains. I really hope that I am close to getting out of here. What's up, Putt Dog? Damn, Sam. How are you not freezing your tootsies off? I have a hard time believing this. Oh, I guess I got the power of otter fur. Walking. God. This is a huge area. 5 likes received from BB. I love how BB's got like, he's like connected to the social network while I'm doing this. Oh God. Oh my God. It's Chicago. Why do I have infinite sprint all of a sudden? Oh my God. What is happening? Oh, Jesus. I don't need that ladder. Screw your ladder. Oh boy. Run, Sam. The despair. Oh my God. Come on, Sam. We can make it. Holy shit. This reminds me of that time in Detroit when I was Connor. And I had to go turn off the mainframe. And remember when my PlayStation bricked when that happened? Oh my God. Ooh, I just squeaked. You like that? Oh my God. This is intense. The way this sounds in my headphones is really crazy. Come on, Sam. We're going down. We're on our way down. Going down a mountain in this kind of snowstorm would be utterly terrifying. Tip your U.S. postal workers, all right, guys? 'Cause this is what they have to go through on the way to deliver you your mail. This game's giving me an all-new appreciation for parcel delivery. I bet it does, Tree Hugger. Did you live up in the mountains? It's actually quite remarkable, merely. I'm playing on a PS4 Pro, so I think that helps. Oh, a rainbow. There we go. Down the hill. Only we had to share a pair of shoes. Did you really? Oh man, it's getting dark. Let me fix the ISO on my camera real quick. Hold on a second. Yeah, there's the city skyline for those who have not seen it before. There we go. Brighten it up just a little bit. Keep walking. Right? It's pretty. We got very lucky. What the hell? Sam, what are you doing? If you like the delivery aspect, maybe you'd like the truck simulator games or Elite Dangerous. I do like Elite Dangerous, Putt Dog. I've played Elite Dangerous before. TSM. Thank you very much for the... Or TSM, I guess that's probably how I'll say it. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it very much. I really do want to experience living in a city at least once. It's pretty awesome. Do you wear glasses? I do not, Tree Hugger. I luckily am blessed with vision that does not require it, despite the fact that both of my parents do. Look at you handsome devils stomping through the snow. What's up, Bonnie? We're doing what we can. It's ski time, baby. It kind of makes me wish that I wouldn't have gotten rid of that floating carrier, because I could have just sledded down. Oh my god. This is treacherous. This is like Black Diamond level 5. I don't know how skiing works to know if that's a legitimate difficulty of skiing, but I know that Black Diamond's a thing. Oh. All right, here we go. Bonnie, how are you this evening? Each kid would take a step and then switch. I'm legit happy about that sub. Well, I'm happy that you've got it, Bonnie, because then you don't have to worry about advertisements when you go to watch me. I think it's really ridiculous that Twitch runs ads while people, like, right before you go into a place. Like, I've had people that I wanted to click on and then I got an ad and I was like, nah, never mind. Like, I'm so averse to ads at this point. God, this is way longer of a journey than I anticipated it was going to be. Tree Hugger, why'd you ask if I wear glasses? Right? Nobody got time for ads. I'm not into it. Spent some time with my mom today after work. How about you in chat? I'm doing well, Bonnie. I'm kind of tired. That's been kind of my MO this week. But I'm also enjoying hanging out with everybody tonight. Best thing about glasses is when you enter a warm room in winter and there's a literal loading screen. I wear snow goggles when it gets really cold when I walk to work. Because I have like a 1.5 mile walk to work, and when it's 10 degrees, I need to wear snowboarding goggles. Ooh. Sam, come on. Here we go. Down the slalom. Oh! Hold on. Hold your balance, Sam. Oh my god. I'm a boulder. Oh. Whoa! I want to ride a floating thing down this. I'm really sad I don't have that. There we go. Yes, squirting, Bonnie.
Beginning scan. Scanning bridges ID. Fragile Express ID verified. All
Hey.
until departure. All clear. Welcome, Sam Porter Bridges.
Am I not permitted to go in here? Veteran Porter. Doesn't want to see me. Okay.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
I've watched a couple of reviews about Death Stranding today, and it really is true. You either love it or hate it. I haven't even played it yet, and I'm already on the love side. I am squarely on the love side, obviously. This is what, my 17th time playing this on stream? It's kind of crazy. I don't know what. I don't think there's any other game besides Destiny that I've played 17 times on stream. What's up, Derp? You did say hi, but it's glad to have you back in chat. We can just get all the elements today. I think this game provides a really nice background. Like, it makes it really easy for me to chat. I love just running around, enjoying the views, hanging out. It's really excellent for that. All right, I'm gonna get a vehicle and we're gonna drive around for this last part because I have walked enough. My legs would just be on fire right now if I was Sam. When I got that car out of that gully, It was one of the best moments of this entire game so far. Yeah, exactly. Now that's exactly what I'm talking about. It was excellent. It's definitely a top 5 moment of the stream for this year. For me, anyway. This is by far my favorite game to watch on your channel. It's so chill. Destiny is always stressing me out. Yeah, I know it can be pretty stressful. Absolutely, Peter. It was great to have you here today. Like, I'm really glad that you are now a part of the group. Aren't the people here wonderful? That's the thing, is like, I'm here doing my thing, but like the people who hang out here, truly incredible. That will forever be the most like memorable and astounding thing about this stream, is the people who are here and the amount of support, curiosity, love, care, all these things that you extend toward each other. It's remarkable. All right, just jogging, just on a nice little jog. You did arrive at a good time, Matt. What's up, dude? Although you missed my walk through the snow in the mountains. Like shooting games or Pokemon become a bit of a chore to watch, but this is engaging even if you don't know what happened before. I could totally see that. And you ours, Peter. I'm going to attempt to make your salsa later tonight. Do it, derp. Do it. So good. Snow is everyday life, so I would have loved that. It was literally like trudging through Manitoba, Matt.
You know what to do, Sam.
The salsa recipe is on Discord. It's under the food tab. If you scroll up, you'll see it. Is it vegan salsa? Yeah. I would assume so. It's got nothing but veggies in it. So yeah, if you're vegan, Bonnie, you could make it. I have the video somewhere. I have to clip it and put it on YouTube in order for it to have the actual instructions of me making it. But yeah, DrMick's famous salsa recipe is on Discord. Negative. Oh God, Matt, that sounds awful, man. This is so gorgeous. I love this so much. The recipe's there. It's right above the video link, but the VOD doesn't work. Yeah, the VOD's expired at this point. Okay. We're gonna go talk to orders for Sam. Fresh pizza. Another pizza delivery. Let's do it. Let's delete another. Let's send another pizza to my man Peter. And the only reason I'm doing that is because in his email he apologized for the fact that and anniversary champagne. Oh, I have to carry it by hand? Oh. All right, well. Pizza and anniversary champagne to my man Peter. Oh, man. And here I was going to ride the motorcycle. It's not fun today, but today it warmed all the way up to negative. Oh, heat wave, Matt. I'm gonna make some pierogi and kielbasa casserole shortly too. Ooh, that sounds awesome, derp. I think the shit. I know why. The pizzas are blinking because they're not because they're not flat. Oh man. Oh shit. Oh. No. Oh, no. No. Okay, hold on. Carry on my back. We're going to offload the pizza. Carry on the back. I don't really have anything else. Okay, so we're going to confirm that. Hey, nobody. How are you today? No! Oh, man. man. Hold on. Offload. How on earth am I supposed to make sure that this is carried the way that it's supposed to be? I'm gonna like have to fabricate something. All right, so I gotta go back here. This is so stupid. I gotta go back here, get enough stuff to put on my back so that the pizza can lay flat on top of it. And Peter's gonna be mad because the pizza's already been damaged by the fact that I was holding it vertically. I should have realized that. So DMZ, I'm really glad that you pointed out that the containers were blinking. So we're gonna take on an order to, I guess we can go to, we can carry some Timefall Porter beer. That seems reasonable given the fact that yeah, we'll carry some beer. Carry it on my back. And then we'll get the pizza, and then we'll get the wine. There we go. All right. Beer man a go-go. I'm doing very well, nobody. It's so nice to read your name. How's the little one doing? Okay, here we go. Pizza, more like yitza. You ain't kidding. Let's go, Sam. Running out, buddy. Let's go get those pizzas. Let's go carry that wine. All right. So carry on your back. There we go. Nice and flat. That's the way we need it. All right. And we'll go ahead and pick up the wine. Let's go. And we're back in business. Finally figured out crawling. Oh, man. Once they can start moving, things get very interesting.
Weapons restrictions lifted.
And now I got to go through mule territory. Oh, God. All right, we're going to go around mule territory. Because I'm not about to fight the mules with this beautiful vintage that I have to carry up here. The repair spray won't work on the pizza, will it? No, because the pizza inside is what's been destroyed, not the actual container itself. And hello, M-Dash. Oh, nice package. Oh, God. Oh, God. It's so good to see you, M-Dash. Stay away from me. This pizza's not for you. This pizza's not for you. No. I'd love to hear you say squirt again. You still can. I can. Yes, Matt. I can read it. No problem. No qualms. Oh, look at that. That's actually kind of cool. You guys, you can see Lake Michigan over my head, right there. That's Lake Michigan. It's sort of like having an ocean to look at, but it's not the ocean. You can tell that it's Lake Michigan by the way that it is. I was in another stream. Someone in there was telling me a story of how they got injured. I was like, wait. And I added more information. It turns out the person in chat was someone I treated when I was working as a flight medic. Whoa. That's wild, Derp. Oop, I'm going around this way. You want to talk about a small... Oh, my God. I am way too close to this mule camp. God, this pizza is not for you. This pizza is not for you. I know. Pizza sounds really good. I want stuffed pizza. Some delicious Chicago stuffed pizza sounds fabulous. It's some treats. Yeah. Some yeetza. Nice, Matt. You're quick. You're on it today. I love it. Uh-oh. Am I gonna have to cross through mule territory with this damn wine because I don't have a way of crossing this river? No. I will use this bridge. We're gonna book it. Greetings, Zoiku. How are you this afternoon? I don't think I've ever heard DrMick meme this hard. Well, to be fair, M-Dash, it's because of what other people had said a little while ago when I picked up the pizza. I didn't come up with that on my own. What happened to your Cybertruck? I got pizzas to deliver, and I got to deliver this thing by hand. So we're walking. Getting the exercise. BB's... Oh, no! No! BB's not particularly thrilled about it. Oh, God, and we're going through mule territory to do it. Oh, jeez. Sam Porter Bridges, pizza deliverer extraordinaire. Hold on. The DrMick way. That's right. You know you can't run through a campsite, but you can run through a campsite because it's... You know you can't run through a campsite, but you ran through a campsite because it's past 10...
Believe in yourself.
Oh my God. You never cease to amaze. I am really delivering pizzas, Zoiku. Yep. So those top 2 packs on top of my load there that are gold, those are pizzas. And then in my hand, I'm carrying a nice vintage celebratory wine. And I think I'm going to need to set this down for a minute so I can slam some Monster Energy before I keep going on the journey here. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll wait a little bit. I still got enough energy for now. I don't need to slam a monster yet.
It'd be nice if somebody could fill in for me for a day.
Yeah, I hear you, Sam. Somebody else could deliver pizzas instead of you? You're making the world go around. So literally now I can actually sing the Krusty Krab pizza song. I am gonna... Oh, mate. Aren't I gonna... I'm gonna pass right... But Mother's Lab is on the other side. No, I gotta do this. I gotta do this run and then get a thing and then go back to Mother. Because I've only got... Well, I have an hour to deliver this pizza. Nacho cheese pizza. That's right. You're just going to have to trust me that I said that before I read your... All right, hold on. I got to fix my camera one more time. Let's take a look at the city real quick.
One foot right in front of the other.
Good. I'm glad you trust me, man. All right. Back to slogging. I currently live in an area that's pretty open about people just being people. We had a hate crime committed yesterday, and honestly, I don't know how to process. That is incredibly sad, Shirad. Everybody kind of has different ways of processing that type of thing, but it's sad that that is a thing that would happen. I mean, it's never okay, but for it to happen in an area that's a lot more accepting of others, there's no right or wrong way to process things so long as there's like kindness toward yourself and toward the victims or whatever that's wrapped up into that. It sucks though. Oh my God, Matt. Allie left. That's why the light is so dim. Yeah, the IRL skybox is a metaphor for my heart when Allie is and isn't around. When it's bright, it's when she's around. When it's dark, it's because she's distant. Oh no, Sam. My remote control for you is low on batteries. Let's go, Sam. Keep running, buddy. I just learned what rainbow peppercorns are. It's called colorful peppercorn in German. Yeah, rainbow peppercorns are awesome. That's the kind of peppercorns I use in basically everything. I kind of look like I'm carrying a football. Sam the running back for the San Francisco 49ers. Stamina is incredible thanks to his Kardashian thighs. Ooh, we are 1/6 the way in. Can I get a Discord link, please? I'm curious. Absolutely. Thank you, Tree Hugger. Absolutely shifted. Make sure, by the way, those of you that join the Discord, make sure when you go in there, you go to the disclaimers and rules channel and hit the and emote to the acknowledgement statement. Because that's what gives you access to the entire Discord. It acknowledges that you kind of understand what the rules are and all that stuff of what makes the place great. So make sure you do that. Your name will turn green when you do that. You'll get a notification from the Coconut Man. And then you've got full access. I'm gonna drink some Monster. Come on, Sam. I was called 4 times yesterday, 6 times today, 3 of which were from one number with little edits. A lot of it's probably spam, but what the hell? I don't normally get this much. Wait, what kind of calls? Just like people calling your personal cell phone, Rain? What kind of calls are we talking about? All right.
Looks like a path.
Does look like a path, Sam. You've been here before. I wish it would stop raining. There's a time pulse shelter over there, I guess. Can't really stop there, though. Man, we got such a long way to go. And if it rains this whole time, the pizzas are going to be destroyed. Are they numbers you recognize? Or are they just like random numbers calling you, Rain? Let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Keep going, Sam. You stud. I have no idea who they are. Weird. My favorite calls are scammers. I can keep them going for about 2 hours average. I need to set up like a kit and really... Oh my God. That would... I love doing that too, Tree Hugger, but then like sometimes I'm like, God, I'm wasting so much time doing this. I do love wasting their time though. Hello, Zoe. So good to see your name. How are you? Oh God, oh God, oh God. I have a folder on my desktop that's called recipes. There's nothing wrong with that, Bonnie. Doesn't make you old. Ooh, this road's almost built. Yeah, because they're going to go right back to it when I'm... No! Don't fall, Sam! Oh. God, we need to get out of this rain. I never pick up calls from random numbers. I probably should, but last time I did, it was a spammer who started to verbally sexually harass me, and then he realized I wouldn't comply, so now I don't answer the phone again. Well, Jesus, that makes sense. That's awful. Guys, this is bad. I should have definitely built repair spray. And I was a knucklehead and didn't do that. Grown up? Yeah, there we go. We'll go with grown up. You've got a recipe folder. It also just makes you somebody who likes to cook. There's nothing wrong with that. Come on. Come on. Keep pushing, Sam. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. Up to El Norte. We have done so much walking today. That makes a lot of sense, M-Dash. You know, when I worked on the suicide hotline, we used to have people that... Oh, yeah, repair my stuff. We used to have like these sexual fantasy callers that would call us M-Dash, and it was really distressing for a lot of people. Like, it's not fun to be roped into something like that because it's not consensual. So you'd have these people that would call, and some of them got really good with holding people on the line while they were, you know, engaging in their fantasy. Really gross. I know it's not the same thing you're describing, but man, it was so distressing. I remember a time before computer games. I very, very barely remember a time before video games. I remember a time before the internet. I remember getting like a computer that had like whatever it was that was like Windows or like Windows 95 or something like that, and there was this whole like kids station thing that was set up for it, and we couldn't actually access the desktop and all this stuff. And I remember there was one time I really wanted to access the desktop, and I actually kicked my mom because I wanted to get on it, and they were trying to restrain me from getting onto it. It's the only other time I ever kicked my mom.
Decontaminating suit. All clear.
Yeah, unfortunately, M-Dash, that's something that people do, and it's nasty. It's not cool to do. Here we go. Deliver some of that beer. Although I really hope that didn't just mess with my pizzas being flat. But yeah, you are definitely not alone, M-Dash.
Everything all right?
Yeah, man. Gave you some beer. Enjoy. Fabulous.
Good work. New order available. Please access delivery terminal for further.
I grew up in a time before mobile cell phones, computers, or internet. Seems odd to think of that now. Yeah, I can imagine. It's especially because of how much it's changed everything. Like how it's just common. It's so ubiquitous with daily living at this point. Imagining a time without it'd be so weird. Oh, you can't really see the sunset. The sunset tonight's beautiful. There's like this huge, like really beautiful red streak under the clouds. Tally! Oh my God! Hi, Tally! How are you? So lovely to read your name in chat. He even had a real pen pal. I remember doing pen pals in like elementary school, and mine never responded to me. Keep missing my streams? That's it. I'd say that's understandable, Tally. How have you been feeling? So nice to see your name. So nice to see all of you. I'm really, by the way, for all of you that are here right now, whether you're lurking or chatting or whatnot, whether you're talking with each other or talking with me, so glad to have you on board and here as I make America whole again. Undecided, progressing. Day at a time, huh? Never forget, shout out to the lurkers. That's right. Pizza. Make America full again. Yeah, this guy, I hope he's here this time. As if this guy does another, like, if he ghosts me again because he's out busy doing something, I'm going to be like, dude, come on. I was maybe 4 to 6. I remember playing in a room with some Spider-Man trading cards. I thought it was a good idea to put one card in my mom's computer's floppy drive. Oh, God. What did you think was going to happen, Pud Dog? All of a sudden, you were going to be able to play some Spider-Man game just because you put the Spider-Man trading card in there. Inductive reasoning at its finest. No. I don't want to deal with BTs. Let's go. We're almost to the road. Let's go. Been election day here today. We'll know the results in a few hours. Not quite sure when, but I'm not here for the politics. What, I apologize for not remembering, Zoe. What country do you live in? Also, talking politics here is okay. So long as everybody's, like, respectful and curious and kind, which people here tend to be, which is wonderful. The UK? Oh, okay. I didn't want to assume. Ugh. Oh my God. Might have to take another nap. I've been sleepy lately. I don't really know why. This guy. So we're gonna have to know what's gonna happen. Is there something, I don't know if anybody knows this. I suppose I could look for it by myself, but I'm going to be annoying and just ask everybody. Do you know if there's a way for me to see how many miles I've run with Sam? Or just like how far we've done something on foot? Because this is quite remarkable. Like, I'd love to know how far we've walked while chatting with each other. Go Chelsea, Matt. All about Chelsea. Ooh, boy. Zigzag formation. That's what I'm talking about, Matt. I knew I liked you for a reason. Not just because you're a good mod. Oh, is that the case, D? I actually haven't kept tabs on it really much at all today. I am curious to see what happens, though. That's right, Matt. Oh my God, we're so close. We're so close, Peter. Can you smell the pizza? Can you smell what I'm cooking? I've got pizza and wine. Just for you, buddy. Oh boy, I really hope I can walk. Oh God, do I risk this? I'm so scared to walk through the yellow. I am so afraid to do this. Oh my God. Come on. Come on. Okay, good. If I'd have wasted that entire thing. We got cold pizza and wine. No kidding about the cold part. There's no way. Well, although these boxes are apparently like...
Anybody hear me?
Cold pizza is actually a thing. Yeah, it is. I like cold pizza in the morning. Cold pizza for breakfast, fabulous. Can we get a look at behind you at the city? I would love a screenshot of that for art inspiration. Here you go, Tally. Better? Good? Is that enough time? You should visit, Bonnie. We have our moments. I mean, we've got some dumb shit we do, but the U.S. can be pretty cool sometimes. All right, Matt. Have a good one, dude. Appreciate you being here. Oh, did I, Rain? I'm sorry. Sorry, Rain. You and Tally have the same color name. I think I read Tally and then looked at yours. So, Rain, there you go. My bad. All right, will Peter be here? Set your bets. Set your bets. Will my man Peter?
Fragile Express ID verified.
All right, buddy. I've got pizza for you.
Cargo verified. Thank you.
We do have good pizza here, Bonnie. It's fabulous. Here you go. Here's your pizza and your wine. Please be here. Please be here. Please be here. Please be here. Please be here.
Delivering cargo.
Hey, what a boy.
Delivery complete. Displaying performance evaluation.
Pizza was damn good. I'm going to get an A. I'm not going to get a... yep. God damn it. I'm not going to get an S. Oh, I did get an S. Sweet. You have now been awarded the title Courier. Few porters can reach your talents in the field. That's right. You have reached delivery time grade 20. You can now hold your breath for longer. What a stud.
Thank you for your continued support.
Hey! Peter! Oh, not cool. Modded Wolf. Hello. I'm doing well. How are you doing? I'm a little bit pissed off at Peter here because I keep delivering him pizzas from across the damn country, and the dude doesn't even come out to say hello and thank me. It's not cool, man. How are you? Ugh. All right. So I need to go talk to Mom. So we're going to go to Lake Knot City. We're going to grab a bike and we're going to go talk to Mom. Is there anything in the crater on the map? In here? There's like a ruined shelter in here. This crater was a crater that we had to cross, I think, on a boat or something. Like, I haven't gone up there yet, Zoiku. Not been there. I was able to trek up the mountain, though. And I think before I leave this area, I'd like to go see what's by that crater. Yeah, well, that was what a boy, that's what I had about 20 minutes ago when I was running through the mountains. You could have called me that. Mail received from Peter. Oh, Peter. Oh, this is becoming a pattern, Peter. Let's see what Peter's got to say. This guy's kind of on my shit list. Deepest and most sincere thanks and apologies. My dear Mr. Bridges, you truly are a man of surpassing kindness and generosity, and the pizza you delivered was the most scrumptious we have supped on to date. Heart. Oh, but my levity is unbecoming, sad face. My grave, dare I say, disastrous. Failure to convey my appreciation to you in the flesh warrants an explanation. To my chagrin, the circumstances were entirely outside my control. Prior to your arrival, my better half and I had one of our rare but rather intense lovers' quarrels, which led her to storm off in a proverbial huff. And what manner of husband would I be if I left her to wander the wilderness alone? I simply had to go to her. Upon our return, we were greeted with fresh pizza, still piping hot from the oven, and she was so entirely over the moon that she forgave me everything. Suffice it to say, I am in your debt to a considerable degree. Thumbs up. What is going on with people's marriages? It's like they know that the pizza delivery guy is the therapist. Peter, my man, I get it. You went after her. Good on you. But come on, man. This is the second time in a row. This has become repeated behavior where, like, if I keep delivering you pizzas and you're not here to say thanks, man. Like, I appreciate that he's sending me these emails, but there's something a little bit odd about him. Like, I want to meet him now just so he's less of an enigma, so I can understand, like, why are you jerking me around with these damn pizzas that I'm delivering from all the way from basically, like, Oklahoma? No, I can't eat the pizza, unfortunately, Derp. I wish I could, but I can't. Ridiculous.
Folks will be real grateful for your sacrifice.
Guy makes me mad. Oh, here we go. I can just get a vehicle from this instead of having to go all the way to the... Although I suppose... Actually, no, I am going to go... Well, I can still get the vehicle, I guess. Or I can enter my private room from here. Let's do it. Cancels my PC pre-order. Yeah, that's all you need. You need to be able to eat the pizzas in order to be comfortable. My therapist had pizza in the office. That would be great. I've brought coffee for clients. I don't think I've ever brought pizza. I've brought donuts for clients that I see in the morning. Or if, like, clients do me a favor and fill a slot that makes, like, my schedule look better for the week, I'll usually reward that with, like, donuts or coffee or something like that. Forgiveness is divine, but never pay the full price for a late pizza. Zoiku, that should be on a t-shirt.
Good morning, Sam. Blood collection complete. Thank you for your generosity.
I do like bacon on pizza. Let's go ahead and take a shower. How about bacon sandwiches? Yeah, absolutely. From an old TMNT movie? That would make sense. All about that pizza. $15 emails. How many of them are clingy Grubhub?
EX grenade number 0.
Can't get enough of those shower streams or shower. Feel better, Sam? Good. Let's go ahead and let's slam some beer. Put on our glasses. We'll go down to Mama, and then we'll call it an evening. Hello, Madam. How are you? I prefer bacon more chewy, or like I don't like bacon to be overly crispy. For those still engaged in the bacon conversation. Okay. Glasses on. Go ahead and put our hat on. Bacon and onion pizza. Solid. I'm doing well, Matt. I'm pretty tired, though, to be completely honest. I've been really tired lately. I mean, part of it, I think, is just because I've had a stressful week. Part of it's just the time of the year. Bacon weave sandwich. Never heard of that. All right, BB, what do you got for me, buddy?
That's it, Lisa. Don't be shy. Just like we used to. Come on. Keep up. Sorry. Did I wake you up? Today's Mommy's birthday. It's also the anniversary of when we first met.
Oh, whoa. Let me see your face. Is she dead? I don't feel like I've seen that before. With, like, her just laying there like that. Alright. Someone was expressing discontent with their former therapist, expressing that their former therapist mostly asked about their prior week and let them talk the rest of the session. You seem to respond that that wasn't a great thing for a therapist to do either. That's most of what my therapist does, but it works really well for me because I mostly need someone to bounce off of. Yeah, no, Rain, if that's what you need, that's fine. I think my reaction to that was because the person who shared that said that that was not helpful for them. And that they were like, okay, yeah, that happened for 8 sessions, and then I couldn't go anymore because that was not what I needed. I think that was my response to it. If you need to just talk to your therapist for 50 minutes and not have them say anything, that's perfectly reasonable. I'm willing to do that. I don't think that's the mark of a bad therapist. I think it's bad if, like, the client says, hey, like, I'd like some help and I'd like to hear your perspective on things. And then the therapist is just like, oh, no, you just talk the whole time. It's all about reading feedback. It's all about paying attention to what your clients need and what they're looking for and what's helpful to them. So that was my reaction to that more than anything else, Rain. Can't tell if Phoebe's laughing or crying. I hope he's laughing. So close. Let's go, let's go, let's go. My family's lightened up since they were being really grumpy about how they think she's not doing enough for me for a while. It's always, I mean, absolutely no offense to your family, but I always think it's weird when people say stuff like that, Rain. Like the whole thing of like, oh, well, therapy doesn't seem to be doing much for you. Usually says like that they have, I'm not saying this is the case for your family, Rain, so please don't take it this way. Sometimes when people say that, it's like the family kind of has an agenda for the person being in therapy.
Verifying ID.
And rather than respecting why that person's in therapy and what they're trying to talk about, instead they make it about them and what they want that person to get out of therapy for whatever their own agenda is. That's always feels skeevy to me. Again, not saying that's what was going on for you, Rain, but whenever I hear that, that's sometimes what I think. I don't see a mercy link. What do you mean, tree hugger?
Hey, you're gonna love this.
Scottish Moon. Thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate you. Welcome in.
I say, I don't know what I did to deserve such kindness.
I don't really know what you did either, but hey.
Thank you for your contribution.
Let's get a bike. Let's go to Mama. Actually, well, you know what? Maybe I'll start with Cook. So I'm going to hit a cutscene and stuff, and then I'm going to have to go, and I'm pretty tired.